Guys, we're back. The Fintastic Four. Jeff, Jose, Nick, me, Tony, talking about the Dolphin draft was just a few days ago. It was I'm gonna reserve comment for right now, but I'm gonna go straight to Nick just because I like for him to give me the side eye when I surprise him.
Oh, yeah.
First round pick, Kenneth Grant. Go.
It's a good player. I just don't think we should have took it. I would have went maybe offensive lineman, the guard. What was his name? Zabel. I would have maybe went that way first because we don't pay the defensive tackles, so why take it in the first round? From what it looked like, it was a deep defensive tackle draft.
And we traded up to get him.
Who?
Right?
No, it was 13.
Oh, no, that was 13. That's right.
We traded up in the second round to get another.
We definitely traded up for the offensive lineman.
Yeah. On board with that. That was a good pick.
Jeff?
Yeah, supposedly that was a snatch of pebble from my hand on the what's it called, the Patriots. Supposedly the Patriots were hot on Jonah.
Yeah. All right, but let's stick with the first round pick because that's the big money guy. That's the one you're supposed to be like, this is our guy. Kenneth Grant, Michigan. Now, the problem with when you do a defensive interior defensive lineman or offensive lineman, they're not sexy. The writers, the pundits really don't know much about them because they got no stats really. Defensive tackles, a good defensive tackle might make 1 or 2 tackles a game, but he's taking up 2 or 3 blockers. That's a good defensive tackle. You don't see that. There's no way really, unless you're a real interior lineman guy, there's no way to judge it. I remember after they picked him, they showed the highlights and go, okay, he made a nice block. He sacked the runner for a loss. Big deal. Jeff.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on, Jeff, say something. Jeff.
Well, I kind of agree. I think that we could have kept Calais Campbell probably for less money. It was a proven player. Probably last season was probably the best defensive lineman in the league. Or the year before that, we could have kept Christian Wilkins, who we also drafted as a first-round draft pick defensive tackle, And like Nick said, we could have used that pick on offensive line. So, there was 2 players that we could have kept that we would not have need to made that pick, but we got rid of those players. So then it became a priority. So then, I guess we needed to pick him. But like Tony says, we don't pay them. They don't stay. We draft guys. And then as soon as they get really good, like Pro Bowl level, then we let them go
or trade them.
Yeah.
Hey, Jose, I know you're chomping at the bit there. I see you. You're just moving, twitching.
If we were just trading them for trades, that would be great. But we tend to let them go into free agency and then never get anything out of them. So, if we were picking defensive tackles and we were developing them, and we were the defensive tackle of the South, like Green Bay is for quarterbacks, then that would be great. And we would be getting multiple picks all the time because we were deep. That's not necessarily the case. We got nobody. That was a huge need. And he's 6'3", 339 pounds of beef. And that's what I like about him, right? So he's going to be right up there in the middle somewhere, just clogging it up. So if we got anything, the only thing is we probably got him because, who is a Michigan guy, right? And so that was probably the reason why we went number 1 with Kenneth Grant. There was probably a little swaying going on in the room, but or maybe somebody wanted to make somebody happy about that too. That's also a thing. But at the end of the day, I think it's a good pick. We got a lot of 300-pounders, right, in the regular draft, not just the undrafted free agents. So this was one of them. So I was pretty happy about this pick. All those other things go, without saying.
All right.
We lost all those guys. They're gone. we have to plug a hole. This guy was a good guy to plug the hole.
Second round, Jonah Savanea. Another two I don't know how to pronounce.
Who got it? Does anybody know how to say it? I was
Savanea.
No.
I got it. Yeah, it was like
It's pronounced
I don't know.
Tungavailoa.
Yeah.
Tungavailoa.
The fact that I can't pronounce his name like that, I think is a good thing. We'll start with that.
Sorry, Jonah.
Sorry, Jonah. Yeah.
A big
We'll get it.
Samoan.
We'll get it.
From Arizona. A guard, another beefy guy. That's the one we traded up for. I don't know. We gave up a lot for that to move up, if I believe.
Yes.
What did we give up, Nick? You're
We
good
gave
at that.
up our
Third and-
second, the third round pick, and a fourth round pick.
Yeah.
And we got a fifth to move up.
I got some nice things to say about him.
Another guy, he looks good. I mean, we saw some of the highlights. You know, I'm not an Arizona fan, so I didn't see him play every week or anything. Jose, you like him?
6'5", 336 beef, right? He's just all beef. And you know what the thing about this guy is that he's versatile. He can play on the outside, both sides. He can play on the inside, both sides, right? So he's real big and he will pancake you. He will pull around and kill you. So he's a big, fast guy. If you watch some of the highlights when he was playing, he was running down running backs. He's like one of the fast offensive linemen in the draft. So this finally we got an offensive lineman. He's high quality, I think. And no complaints from me. It's the beef train, man. Keep going.
The versatility's there. The Dolphins win a guy, like you said, versatile. Not only that, but he also a pretty good piano player and a singer. So they got the halftime covered.
Yeah, there you go.
You see?
He and Tua can make a band. Tua plays guitar and sings. They can
Nick,
be the Lions.
what do you think?
I like him. I had him on my board. I mean, I didn't see us moving up to get him, but we needed to move up to get him.
Hold on a second. You had a board?
Yeah, he was a round two guy.
You're one of those guys?
Yeah, he's on my list. He's on my list of ways this could have went.
Rewind on that. Like I see his board behind him. It says hi, mom. Right. That's about it.
Sorry,
Been there the whole time.
I'll
I
get
didn't
you.
even try to have a board because I mean, most of these guys have. I mean, come on. How many of us have time to actually watch all these players play?
I had a beer, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm watching the game. You know,
I go based on what I'm reading on these guys. You know, we're gonna see what happens when they hit the field.
look, if you're gonna have a chance to win in what's it called, fantasy football, you got to be like Nick, and you got to have a board. So.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Jeff?
I didn't have a board until I started to try to watch the draft, and then I was really bored.
Well, I mean, it took 4 hours for round one.
In Green Bay.
That shows you how boring Green Bay is. There were 200,000 people there. Because
People
that's like
showed up for Green Bay, didn't they? I mean, they were out there.
They did.
Right?
If they had that in Miami, they'd be like, "Is Pitbull playing?" I mean, come on.
They would have to have Pitbull. You know, they would.
Well, let me give you my take on him.
Go for it.
The Samoan.
Mhm.
He, like he said, he's huge. The guy is huge, and I'm projecting him at left tackle, which means they're going to move Paul, who was projected to be the left tackle when Armstead retired.
Mhm.
I think they're going to move him into left guard, and he is a giant. I mean, when Paul is on the field, he makes everybody else on the field look like midgets. I don't know if that's politically correct to say midget. That makes them look like little people.
Mm-hmm.
And with him at left guard and our Samoan at left tackle, I think we're going to have one of the biggest left sides on the offensive line in all of the NFL. I think we're going to be huge, and I think they're going to line those two up together. It kind of reminds me of the trying to think of his name when they drafted the two guys back in the day, and they lined them up on the offensive
Webb and
line
Crowder?
in preseason. Who?
Crowder and Lanier
No,
back in the day.
no. I'm thinking he's in the Pro Bowl now. I think he's going to go into the Pro Bowl. But anyway, Sims, one of them's named Sims, Keith Sims.
Keith.
Was the left guard, and they drafted those two guys together, and they lined them up side by side, and they spent like 10 years on the left side.
It's just, you got to remember,
Dan Marino's blind side.
we have a
I think
left-handed
that's what we're gonna
quarterback.
have.
We have a left-handed quarterback. You want the big guys on the right side of the line.
Richmond Webb and Keith Sims. They were drafted together in the same draft. They would lined up the entire preseason, played every snap of the preseason side by side, and went on to like 10 years of protecting Dan Marino's blind side. So I think that's the situation we're going to have. They're going to put these two guys together. I mean, huge. We're talking probably 700 pounds of beef on that left side, and that they're going to open holes. They're going to all of a sudden Tua is going to have time, and when Tua has time, Tua is the most accurate quarterback in the league when he has time, and that's what we're going to see. And also, we're going to be able to run. We're going to have holes open up on that left side. Everything's going to that left side now.
It's that time of year where Jeff's going. The Dolphins are going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see the game plan first.
All these linemen we got. Are you kidding? We're ready.
I want to see the play calling before I can say that.
We have no third round nor fourth rounder. Then 5, 6, 7. Anybody stand out? Anybody goes, hey, that's a steal. The Dolphins pulled one up.
100%.
Who's that, Jose?
Well, we could start with number 7, right? Which is the quarterback from Texas, right? The quarterback from Texas was clutch in the playoffs, right? So he brought them back, right? With seconds left, he scored a touchdown to tie it, right? And then in the second overtime, he threw a touchdown to win it. Right, so they say he's a clutch player, but he's not small. He's 6'2", 210 pounds. And he's coming out of college that big. He's going to be bigger. So he should have went. He was supposed to go 3rd or 4th, right? He slipped all the way to 7th. He should not. He had no business being in the 7th round. But
what are the Dolphins going to do?
That was a steal.
What are the Dolphins going to do with him? They got Tua, because like him or not, he's our number one. You got Zach William Wilson. He's going to be there. He's our backup, whether you like him or not. Who I think is actually a better quarterback than what people think.
And he was a 5-star recruit. I mean, he's got the pedigree.
So what are we going to do with him?
Yeah.
Practice squad?
That third quarterback.
Honestly, I hope the quarterback position turns into a competition. I think with probably a dash of controversy, right there at the very end, because I think that would be the best for our quarterback room right about now is to have some competition. I'm going to tell you, this kid's going to play this year, right? If Tua goes down, he's going to play, right? And let's see what happens with a 6'2" quarterback.
Nick,
he will be the third quarterback, that emergency one that doesn't count against your roster count every Sunday. So that's why it's a low risk, high reward situation. Because worst case, if it doesn't work out, you just cut him. 7th round pick. We had 3 7th round picks.
Yeah.
Who's your standout, Nick?
My standout? Well, I'm watching the draft, and we go 5th round. It was the defensive tackle Jordan Phillips, and I go, hold on, wait a minute.
Didn't we draft
a Jordan Phillips? So I went back. 10 years ago, we drafted Jordan Phillips, defensive tackle. I'm like, are we repeating history? I hope this guy's good.
I hope we're not repeating history, because 10 years ago, the Dolphins sucked.
Exactly. Hopefully this one pans out.
Jeff, who's your surprise of the later rounds? Anybody?
Well, I was surprised they picked a running back. I didn't see it as a position of need. I would have rather gotten another offensive lineman. But after looking at his stats, his size, and his size and his weight and his running ability, I thought, well, we do need a short yardage guy, and he could be that guy. He can run up that left side and get that 3 yards you need on 3rd and 3.
It's more beef. It's another running back on the big package, right? Now you're getting a big package, big quarterback, big running back, big lineman, right? We can do a tush push now.
He'll really help us on 3rd and 1 when we come out in the shotgun to run the ball.
I was thinking the same thing then, but we were watching the draft, and then I go, hey, one of the Dolphin players was there. Engold was there, who's our beef guy. And I can imagine he's just sitting there, and he goes, holy crap, they just drafted my replacement. because they're not going to keep two big. They're not going to keep two
fullback. Yeah, he's the fullback, right?
Yeah, they're not going to keep two big beefy running backs. They're going to keep one for short yardage, and the other one they're going to let go.
Do we need a fullback? Did it really help us out?
We ain't get the tush. They're not going to do the tush push with Tua, so they need a big guy back there for those short.
Hey, but you know what? Again, I think the theme of the draft was big. Even one of the cornerbacks was like 6'1", 205 pounds or something like that. I mean, I think we only had 2 players that were, that you would look at and go, well, that could be small in the NFL, right? The rest of the guys were like 300 plus, 200 plus, over 6 foot. I'm a stat.
They got beefy
and then I don't. How many of them were like they're lame, right? Like they're coming off a knee injury. Isn't like one of them coming off a knee injury or something like that? Right.
It wouldn't be a Dolphin draft if Grid doesn't pick somebody who's injured.
It like wasn't all of them like and some of them like the first 2 players they're probably going to start. Mm-hmm. That's kind of nice.
Well, I'm just going to point this out that once again you guys are all wrong. The steal of the draft, the draft pick of the century for the Dolphins, came in the 7th round. He was a defensive tackle, and his name was Zeke Biggers.
He's a big dude.
Just for that name alone, he better start.
6'6", 320 pounds. Beef. That's what I'm talking about.
I want to be a fan of a team that has a Zeke Biggers playing for them. Okay?
Hope he makes the roster.
Yeah. Hey, and all these guys play like in the South, right? So we're talking Georgia Tech, Arizona, Texas, right? All these guys are hot weather teams. They're gonna fit right into Miami. They're gonna be playing in August and September. That's for sure.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna start with Nick again. Grade the draft: A, B, C, D, F. How are you gonna grade it?
Give him a B plus.
B plus
for addressing what we needed.
Jeff,
I'm going to give him a B minus. I think we should have got more offensive line in the top rounds.
Jose, I see those wheels spinning. I see him spinning.
I'm like trying to put it into like numbers, so like a 79, right? Or is it an 83? I don't know. I think it's like right at. I don't know because, I think Jeff said it best one time is that you don't know until like next year until all these guys have panned out. But I feel the happiest I've felt in a long time because we've picked linemen and defensive linemen and offensive linemen and big ones, and it seemed like people have taken it, how do you say it, personal when they said they're soft, right? So we went for some big players this year, some players with some mean streaks. So you know what? I'm going to solid B. I'm going to give him a solid B.
I'm going to pull up this thing here. There's a guy, a writer. Actually, he's funny. It's a football writer, but he's from Germany. But what he does is every year he goes to 20 more. This year he did 24 different sources. All the different from Mel Kiper to ESPN, all the people who do the rankings for the draft, right?
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
Puts them all together and comes out with a consensus who was the best. The Dolphins came in tied for 30th. Okay. Yes.
Hey, first of all those guys don't like the Dolphins in the first place, but go ahead.
Okay.
Like
Tied for
Kuiper hates
30th with the
Dolphins.
Detroit Lions. And the only other team that got a worse draft were the Bengals, supposedly. That's not good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it means anything, but you got all these. Then again, some of these pundits
I-
like who cares about Mel
think-
Kiper and all these other people?
Kuiper thinks he's the next thing since sliced bread, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever he says is. I heard him the other day. We know more than the football gods.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Which
that.
brings me to the next topic. I'm gonna go off Dolphin topic here, but it was the talk of the draft. Sanders,
Oh,
Shakur
yeah.
Sanders, or
Woo, that was bad. I feel for the kid. I feel for the kid.
I feel for the kid. I'm gonna give you my take first. I feel for the kid. I blame the media
Yeah.
because every time you talk to somebody who's actually with a football team who knew football, they said third or fourth round. He wasn't that good. He's a middle rounder or later. But
His
the
head's too
media
big.
fell in with the hype with Deion Sanders and all the other stuff. And they're saying, oh, he's going to be a first rounder. Oh, he'll be going better than Cam Ward and everything. Nobody who knows anything about football, who really participates, you talk to some writers, go, no, I talk to people in the draft room. No, they say it's a middle round draft at best, and then you have the baggage with the father. No,
That's it.
it's not. He's just not that good of a player. He's an okay quarterback. All right.
What do you mean? His number's retired.
At Colorado, I can get my number retired in Colorado.
Did they really retire?
Name me another great football player from the University of Colorado.
Gosh.
Nobody. That's
teammate.
what I mean. Jeff, I saw your eyes roll. I see your eyes rolling.
No, I'm still trying to figure out, Tony, what was your grade? What grade did you give the draft?
I'm the impartial guy here. I'll give them. I'll give them. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to give them a B- because these guys should know more about football than I do. I question some of the picks.
It's really the trades for me.
Which gets me to, but let's finish the Sanders thing first. Jeff, Sanders, what is your opinion? What do you think happened?
I have no opinion on Sanders. I heard stories where he went in where they did the combine and they did the interviews, and he went in with some board game or something. He was trying to make him play a board game with him, and he wouldn't answer any football questions. And I think that's what happened to him. If that's true, I'm not sure if that's true or not. But I hear, from what I understand, he refused to answer any football questions at the combine. So, is that true? I don't know.
Jose?
But if that is true, then he should have not been drafted at all.
Yeah, look, they knew he was going to go high or low, right? I mean, it was either it was one of the two. When they were going for the first, pick and the Titans were on the clock, and I was like, come on, Cam. Let it be Cam Ward. Shout out to Cam, University of Miami, pulling down the number one pick. It hasn't happened in a while, so we'll take that. But then I was like, Hunter's next, Travis Hunter, here we go. Man, boom, it happened. I was like, and here goes Sanders. Right. And then Sanders didn't come till the 5th round. And when he slipped out of the first, then he said some things in the media. And I think he came across arrogant and entitled. Mm-hmm. And from that point, he went all the way down to the 5th. I thought we were going to grab him, to be honest with you. If we would have made it to the 7th, right? I just couldn't see not putting a pick on him. But, then he got picked by the Browns, which was ironic because of all the comments that his dad made not too long ago about the Browns and being like the Mannings and demanding to get out of that trade.
Mhm.
Right. And so that the irony was thick on what was going on. But I feel bad for him. He should have went middle rounds somewhere. And you know, I think his dad did kind of drag him down, and people thinking about him on the sidelines or up in the booth, or
Mhm.
Jeff decides not to start his son, and then he's in the, oh, what did you think about not starting your son? Right. And I think we should be starting Sanders, and just, and I can see owners going, I don't need that. That's the kind of aggravation I don't need. It would be the Sanders and the Miami
A head
Dolphins.
coach doesn't want that either, because if
And nobody
you'd
wants
have
that.
drafted him in the first round by
And-
week 3, they'd be going, if you weren't winning every game, they go, why don't you start Sanders, and you need to fire you and hire Dion as their head coach.
Well, and you want players that are going to buy into a system
Mhm.
and run a play the way that you designed it, and not question you, on the way that on that thing that's coming in, or at practice, or behind closed doors, right? And what you want are people that are going to buy into your program. And maybe he's the kind of guy that goes, well, I just talked to my dad and he said, and I don't think people want that's what people were avoiding, except for the Browns.
The other thing Sanders remind me of, remember Ryan Leaf, arguably the biggest number one bust in NFL history.
Yeah.
There's a legend with that the Chargers knew they had a problem, was that after the draft, after they picked him, he was telling everybody with a microphone that he was going to Vegas to party, not that he was going to San Diego to meet with the team.
Right.
Okay. Most of the draft picks the next day, Cam Ward was in Tennessee, was in Nashville the next day.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Meeting with Warren Moon.
Yeah. All right. Sanders didn't do that. Sanders stayed in town and had a party.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He stayed an extra day, didn't have a party. I don't even know if he's still been to Cleveland yet. I'm sure he has. Eventually.
Cam Ward was meeting with Warren Moon,
mm-hmm.
getting a jersey with his number on it.
Yeah.
Right? Telling him, yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, being the gentleman that he is.
Well, I heard that Cam Ward,
simple man. I mean, I love Cam Ward.
I heard that he said Cam Ward was going to go start the second half of the bowl game that lost because he wouldn't refuse to start the second half.
Well, that's just horrible. That's horrible that you said that. But hey, we were all pissed off about that.
Well,
that's the norm in college now. You can't, the fact that he even played.
Yeah, I wouldn't have played in the bowl game either. If I was like, I'm a number one pick, I ain't going to risk it for a bowl game that means nothing to most people.
Those are the realities of college.
That's it now. The money's there. Now, you let money into college football, bowl games mean nothing unless you're in for the national championship. No. All right, guys, I got this other rumor about the Dolphins.
Oh,
and I want to throw it out to you guys.
Let's go.
Here we go.
The Dolphins didn't do a good draft this year, that they're tanking. They're going to tank this year because they're tanking for Arch Manning next year.
No,
we already have.
But you're making an assumption that Archie Manning is going to have one great year and then just leave college.
Mm-hmm.
He can, the way it's all panning out right now,
mm-hmm.
he's going to be a high pick, right? But that high pick doesn't sometimes outdo the NIL. Like these guys, like the guy that slipped to the 7th,
Mm-hmm.
Our quarterback out of Texas,
Mm-hmm.
he lost some big money from that transfer portal. He could have went into the transfer portal and made more money as a college player than a first, second, and third year. What's it called? Professional player. So some of these guys are looking at it going, man, like Sanders slipping all the way to the 7th or the 5th. That was like complete disaster for him. He was supposed to go in the top 10, and that hit his pocket big. So some of these guys right now are kind of looking at where economics, the economics.
Was Arch Manning? Oh no.
No,
Arch
he got beat out.
Manning.
He didn't play. Yeah, he
Got beat out by Ewers.
Yeah,
But he has some great stats. He played in 10 games last year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He started. He played in 10. He has 2-0 as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How many? 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. All right.
Good as a backup.
Good.
Yeah, he was a backup for Ewers. He started 2 games. Maybe not like okay, but that rumor, maybe it's not Arch Manning, but supposedly this coming year is going to be a big year for quarterbacks.
You know what? The pedigree's there. If we're available for it, go for it. But
we need to keep going with the offensive line and our other areas of need. Yeah. Secondary.
Well, that's the thing. What's driving me crazy. Usually when the Dolphins most of the time when the Dolphins after the draft, you're like, yo, yeah, we can't wait. This guy's going to be a stud. This is going to be great. Anybody excited?
I'm in a wait and see mode.
I am.
You're excited?
I want to see this offensive line come together.
Yeah, you know what? And but we didn't talk about the undrafted ones, right? And there's a few more 300-pounders in there.
Yeah.
That are from good lines, good schools, right? So I don't know. I mean,
if all they need is 300-pounders, where do I sign?
You need more than just 300 pounds, my man. You know what I'm saying, right? So these guys have speed too.
I can fall down as fast as anybody.
Like one of our 300-pounders is like a 4.95, 40.
Put him at tight end.
300 pounds.
It's that 10-yard split. It's I think the guy we drafted had the fastest combined 10-yard split for any offensive lineman. Fastest out of the hole there, and that's what we need. Offensive linemen don't run 40 yards downfield.
Yeah,
they run 10 yards. And we got the fastest. That's why I'm projecting him to be at left tackle. They'll move Paul into guard because his footwork is not that great. But he is super powerful, super huge, and would make a great left guard. I'm telling you, that's what we miss the most from the Dolphins with the short yardage offensive line push, the tush push. We get that, then all of a sudden we're contenders again. I don't agree with this as a throwaway year. I think this could be a really good year if things come together.
And I don't think Coach believes that either. He may have said it, but I don't think these guys are believing that.
That's why I gave it a B- because I like that they drafted defensive linemen, interior linemen. I like that they drafted offensive linemen, but I just don't know these guys that well. And nobody was, when they were drafted, nobody was saying, oh man, these guys great, good. But I like to hear is like, when I hear a draft pick, I want to hear future Hall of Famer. That's what I want to hear. Okay.
Well, especially from your first couple of rounds, right?
Yeah.
First 2 or 3 rounds, you want to be in that conversation.
Once you get to the 4th round, everybody knows it's hit and miss. You never know.
Yeah.
You're hopeful. Hopefully you're good.
The first couple of rounds, you can always pick up someone special.
And always, I just it's in my head. It was Chris Greer doing the picking.
Yeah.
I think Coach had some sway this time.
Well, I hope so.
I don't think he did. We would have a bunch of guys that are 5'9", running 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, Chris Greer actually said that he, in the past, had relied on the coach's input, and he said that this year he was just going to go mainly off his own. So this is a Chris Greer draft, and like I said, this is his make or break year for me. If they don't make the playoffs and win a playoff game, not just make the playoffs, but if they don't win a playoff game, then Greer's got to go. I mean, they have to win a playoff game.
And
all right, guys.
You got us an extra 3rd round pick next year. No. Don't forget about that. Traded a 4th to get that.
Yeah.
Oh Christ, we're already talking about next year's draft.
Just think about it.
We're rebuilding.
That's a good value.
All right, guys, we're gonna have to end the show. You guys out there, hit like, subscribe, do some comments, show us some love. We'll be back in probably about a month and a half when training camp starts. It starts in July, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we got major 2 months, like about 2 months, and we'll start all over again for another season of the Fantastic Four. Jose, Nick, Jeff, See you later.
Tony.